Have you ever bought a product or maybe used a service that was just so well done that it just put a smile on your face and made you glow? I have, and I'm going to share the story about that in just a little bit. But we're going to talk today about Christian craftsmanship and why that is so important for you as a Christian woman in business to understand why doing excellent work is so important to the kingdom of God. When God created the world, He didn't just make it really functional, He also made it beautiful. The world could have been just fine without the taste of pineapple or the smell of campfire smoke. That's one of my favorite scents. Or like the symmetry of a snowflake. There's so many things that the world didn't need in order to operate, but the Lord put that into creation. And He did it because it was beautiful. Why did He do that? Why did God make creation beautiful? I would argue that creation is beautiful because God is beautiful, and He allowed that aspect of His nature to shine through in everything that He made. And we're going to talk about how that applies to us as people who are makers, creators, or people in the business realm. But before we get there, I want to talk about the apologetic of beauty. And you may never have heard this term before. You may not know what an apologetic of beauty is. I didn't when I first heard about it. But Gavin Ortland is a Christian apologist on YouTube, and he talks about how the gospel, how our apologetics needs beauty and how important that is. So what does he mean by that? What does he mean by an apologetic of beauty? He means that the idea of beauty itself or our experience of beauty is actually an argument for God. Sean McDowell is another Christian apologist, probably one of the most well-known Christian apologists in the world. And he has a YouTube video called Beauty is One of the Best Arguments for God. So why would this Christian apologist who knows like all of the arguments out there, right? Like it's Sean McDowell. He's very familiar with all of the arguments for God. Why would he say that beauty is one of the best arguments for God? There's something here, something that we don't talk about very often. And it's the idea that beauty is not just sentimentality. It's not just purely subjective. It's an experience that pulls at something deep inside of us. It calls to something, a deep longing that we have. When you stand at the edge of a mountain, or you look at a sunset, or the intricate beauty of a rose, or just like all these amazing creatures that God has created, it calls to something inside of us. Beauty makes us long for the beauty of God. It's like an echo of something that we know that we want to experience, something that is imprinted into our DNA, that we know God is real and we know that He's good and He's beautiful. And when we experience beauty and goodness in the world, it makes us long for God Himself, the source of that beauty. C.S. Lewis described it as being pierced by the scent of a flower we have not found, the echo of a tune we have not heard. Beauty awakens in us a homesickness for somewhere that we've never even been before. A homesickness that I would argue is actually for God Himself. And the beauty of an apologetic of beauty is that it doesn't rest merely in here, right? It's not just an argument from logic or like A plus B equals C. It is awakening a longing that can't be argued with. Every single person has experienced this longing for beauty, this longing for something real and good and deep and beautiful. Beauty defends our faith, not by merely explaining, but by awakening and revealing a longing that we have been suppressing. So bringing this back to the business realm, when Christians create things that are good and beautiful and excellent, and we have good craftsmanship, that actually creates more things in the world that call to that deep longing that we have. It either to an unbeliever calls to that longing and makes them wonder, is God real? Is there something I'm missing in this world? There's something deep that calls to me because of the beauty that I experience in the world. Or to Christians, it actually nurtures that understanding that we have that God is the source of all beauty and truth and goodness. And this is why Christian craftsmanship matters. It matters so much because when we do things that reflect the good and beautiful that we find in the person of Jesus Christ Himself, in God Himself, when we create things that reflect that, We are either calling people to an understanding of God that they do not know, or we're nurturing Christians in their experience of God's goodness in the world. I want to tell you a story of the first time that I experienced this in a way that I could put language to it. I've experienced this same phenomenon with so many products, and I could list so many different amazing Christian companies that I have bought from and that I continue to buy from who have done this. But this particular situation was when I first put the language of craftsmanship to my experience. And so it's very special to me, and I will just always remember it, and I want to share it with you. So my friend Mina Davenport started a candle company called Phos Candles about a year ago. And I bought one of her candles. I actually have it here with me. And you have to see this. This is just so beautiful. I hope you can see this. This is a marble jar, and it's refillable. So I can buy the beeswax candle inserts for it and put them in there. But this is just so weighty and beautiful and quality. And when I got it, I was struck by how amazing her scents are. Everything is clean and non-toxic. And then I had this beautiful jar to put it in. And the first time I burned it, I just had this incredible sense of that I couldn't even put into words, but the sense of this is just so well made, and it makes me just glorify God. And I didn't understand exactly what was happening inside of me. So I actually sent her this message. I'm going to read it to you. I tried to send her this voice clip explaining how blown away I was by her product, and I just didn't have words for it. I was stumbling all over my words and could not express what I was trying to say. But I said something like, "You've created something really special, and it really glorifies God." And her response was what hit me. She said, "Thank you so much for your kind words. I'm so glad my dedication and Christian craftsmanship shines through." And that was when I realized that was what I was trying to express to her was you were intentional. Like on my end, I wasn't approaching this candle and thinking, wow, I hope this teaches me something about God, or I hope that this stirs longing in me. I wasn't thinking that way. I was just like, I would love this beautiful candle, right? But on her end, she was being intentional. She was intentionally creating something that was of quality so that when I would experience what she had created, I would get to experience something of God. And some people will never recognize that. But on her end, she's being intentional to create that experience, whether people have the words for it or not. And I just love that experience so much. I love that interaction and that I got to put language to what I was trying to express and what I continue to express from so many other amazing Christian companies. I could list 5 off the top of my head who have done the same kind of thing, who have given me just an experience that blows me away and that points to something really beautiful. I think we very easily go wrong here as Christians, especially makers and creators. We can go wrong so easily. There is a big misunderstanding around what it means to have a Christian company and to create products in a Christian way. Because here's what Mina didn't do with his candle. There's no cross on here. Okay. And it wouldn't be wrong to put a cross on here, but we don't need a cross on this to make this a product that points to the Lord. Martin Luther once wrote, "The Christian shoemaker does his duty not by putting little crosses on the shoes, but by making good shoes, because God is interested in good craftsmanship." Mina isn't making overtly Christian candles. She is a Christian who makes candles with excellence. And that is a big difference. Real quick, if you are a Christian woman in business, then you know that the Lord has called you to do important work in the world. You may or may not know what that work is yet, but you know that He's called you to do something. And I can tell you that there's one thing that's getting in the way of your ability to carry out that mission. It's not that you need more strategy. It's not that you need another social media course. It's not that you need to be posting to Instagram more. It is our mindset. Our mindset is the number one thing that holds us back. It's the emotions that come up when we go to do things in our business. It's the limiting beliefs that keep us playing small. Those are the things that are getting in the way of you making real traction. So I've actually created a quiz, a free quiz that you can take. I will put a QR code on the screen here so you can scan that and take it, or I will put the link in the description box as well. We don't have time to waste. We don't have time to play small. Let's find what those limiting beliefs are in your business and in your life, and move through them together. An example of where this can go really wrong is with Christian films. We all know what I'm talking about, right? Christian films are terrible. There are a few wonderful, notable exceptions, but for the most part, Christian films are slapping a cross on the film and being very preachy, and they're not creating something of excellence. We don't have unbelievers flocking to see Christian films because they are the best films being made. That would be a much better opportunity for the gospel than what's happening right now, where mostly it's only Christians watching Christian movies, and a lot of Christians are like, I don't want to watch those movies. They're cheesy and not very well made. That's not a good apologetic for the Christian faith. Christians should be at the forefront of every single field doing the most excellent work and not feeling like we need to slap a little cross on everything to make it Christian, but rather allowing the apologetic of beauty to permeate how we show up in every single field. Think with me about what we see pictured at the end. At the very end in Revelation, we have pictured for us what life is going to look like with God, and we see a garden city. And what's really cool about that is that a garden city is two things coming together. A garden, which is God's work, right? Creation, nature, coming together with a city, which when you think back to the very first city was an act of rebellion, a very anti-God thing. Cities throughout scripture are often very negative, but yet you have at the end a garden city, man's work and God's work coming together in this beautiful harmony, and God pulling everything together in a way that harmonizes what he does and what we do. And that's the goal. That's the end of history, is that we would end up in this garden city where man's work and God's work harmonizes perfectly together. That's what we want our work to be a part of. So here's my question to you. What would it look like if your work, whether that was designing, mothering, managing, building, or teaching, what if you approached that work as an act of co-creation with God? And when I say co-creation, I don't mean that we create in the same way that God does. He obviously can create out of nothing, and we humans can't do that. But he asks us to participate in acts of sub-creation or co-creation with him. He loves to work through our work. And what I mean by that is that he could rain down bread on us every single day to feed us, right? He did that with manna with the Israelites, but he doesn't do that. Why? Because he provides the raw materials of wheat and water and all these other things. And then he expects us to become bakers and bake bread. And that's how he feeds the world, is through our work. This is how God actually operates the most in the world, is that he takes the things that we do and he uses them as the means through which he serves the world. He could miraculously construct houses, but he gives us trees, and then we're able to take that raw material and create beautiful architecture. So, what would it look like for you to approach your work with that mentality today? To say, Lord, how can I create order out of chaos? Or how can I take beauty out of something that is unlovely? Or how can I take these raw materials and make something that is excellent and beautiful? We should view our everyday work as an act of getting to create something in the world with God. He's the one who's using us as his hands and feet in the world to create beautiful things. It might look like slowing down and doing your work with excellence. It might look like spending a little bit more money to get a more quality product to provide. It might look like creating a system where there was no order before. It might look like coaching someone and helping them to create order and beauty and goodness in their own life. That is what Christian craftsmanship is. And that's what we get to participate in every single day when we do our work. It's so cool that the Lord uses our meager attempts at work to do his work in the world. That's an amazing privilege. And that's what the Voca Society is all about. We are a community of women who are in the business space, who are believers, who are looking to actively participate with God in what he's doing and to showcase his beauty and his order and his goodness in everything that we create, to provide good Christian craftsmanship to the world. That's what our community is all about. And we would love to have you join us. You can join at the QR code on the screen or in the description box. I will put a link. I would love for you to come join a whole community of women who see their work this way and who can encourage you to see your work this way too. Your ordinary everyday work is not a side project. It is your invitation to join God in what He's doing in the world. Work is worship, and your Christian craftsmanship is an echo of the garden city to come.